Okay. Let's keep moving. So Exodus 19. This is at the brink of the Sinai covenant. Take a look at 19:6. Be to me a kingdom of priests. A kingdom of priests. Also note this earlier reference, Exodus 4:22, where Israel is referred to as God's firstborn son. Now, this is a very interesting connection. We're going to go through the importance of this. When you think priesthood in the Old Testament, what typically comes to mind?
Sacrifices.
Yeah, okay, sacrifices. But who are the priests? Well, the Levites will emerge as the priestly tribe. But what we're going to do in a moment is to note that there is a more ancient priesthood. See, what you'll find, when you read through Genesis, you'll find the patriarchs build altars, offer sacrifice, give the blessing to the children. Priestly prerogatives. They build altars, they offer sacrifices whenever they want, in thanksgiving, in honor and praise to God. And you'll note there are no mandatory sacrifices until a little bit later. And this patriarchal priesthood is often called the priesthood of primogeniture. Because prima first, Genesis, origin, beginning. Because it was typically passed from father to firstborn. Language that's even found later in Judges 17 and 18 goes like this. Be to me a father and a priest. Be to me a father and a priest. In other words, biblically speaking, spiritual fatherhood and priesthood are two ways of saying the same thing. Be to me a father and a priest. You can find that in a little story in Judges 17 and 18. The problem, though, we find in Genesis is almost invariably the firstborn is an abject failure and is often passed over for the younger. What we have here is Israel now stands in that place as firstborn son and kingdom of priests. We'll read about the kingdom later. We'll read about how they want a king like all the other nations. The problem is not with the kingdom, because Jesus will come and reestablish a kingdom. But the kingdom was always to be a kingdom of priests, not a geopolitical power. A kingdom of priests, an elevated kingdom, a spiritual kingdom, a kingdom of sacrifice, a kingdom of the cross. Okay, let's look at a few of these passages. Take a look with me at Genesis 8. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a couple passages that illustrate the patriarchal priesthood. We're going to go to Noah, Abe, Isaac, and Jacob. There's also a couple passages that are going to illustrate something that we're going to do in a moment that draw a connection between covenant, oath, and meal, which is going to occur in Exodus 20. So I'm going to give you two things. References to this are going to come up twice when I get down here, so that's why I'm just telling you where I'm going. Turn to Genesis 8:20. So you read about Noah building an altar. He's going to offer sacrifice. Then Noah built an altar to the Lord and offered burnt offerings. And 9, God blessed Noah, fruit will multiply. Take a look at Genesis 12, verse 7 and 8. God says, to your descendants I will give this land. So we built there an altar. And then in verse 8, we built an altar to the Lord and called on the name of the Lord. Called on the name of the Lord. So just know the patriarchs building altars, offering sacrifice. We'll see blessing. Take a look at 13. 13 verse 4 and verse 18. So Abraham's called, so chapter 13 of Genesis, verse 4, he's called to go to the place where he had made an altar. And there Abram called on the name of the Lord. Verse 18, there he built an altar to the Lord. Okay, turn to Isaac, Genesis 26:25.
So does that building altars, does that go to Noah?
Well, okay, these are all patriarchs in Genesis.
Oh, okay.
They basically act as priests before there's ever an official priestly caste. So the point of all this is simply these are examples of the patriarchs: Noah, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, acting as priests, and they're also head of their families, and not just the immediate family, they're head of the extended family. So they have a royal, kingly role as well. So in other words, in the patriarchs you see priesthood and kingship together, as we see here before they're divided. So in the patriarchs you see the father as a priest and king. Think back to Adam. We talked about Adam having royal priestly imagery. That it starts to make more sense now with that. So in sum, here are examples of the patriarchs acting the part of priests, and they also act the part of kings. They are royal priests. Israel now has that role as firstborn son and kingdom of priests. This priesthood, typically in ancient culture and here, was ordered toward being passed to the firstborn. But often the firstborn is a failure, so it goes to a younger one. So it's called priesthood, the primogeniture for that reason. This means firstborn, from father to firstborn. So the patriarchal priesthood is the priesthood of the father, passed on to the firstborn. Patriarchal priesthood is the priesthood of the father, passed on to the firstborn. Exactly.
So these are like the first actual priest sort of thing? Like all of them, like the first priest sort of thing?
No, that's exactly where we're going. Yeah. And the priesthood that Christ established is a priesthood that renews, reestablishes, and elevates the priesthood of the Father.
Yeah.
Not the Levitical priesthood. Not the sacrifices, but so yes. You might say the foundations of the origins of it.
Yeah.
If you were to do a biblical theology of the priesthood, you start here. Okay, 26:25. You have Isaac here. He builds an altar, calls on the name of the Lord. This is what we see here in this section. Also look at 26:28 and 30. I'll put that over here though. Because what you see, again, is he's reestablishing, renewing an oath or a covenant oath with this Abimelech the Philistine. You have oath, covenant, and meal. Here he does this bit though, too.